Good evening, race fans. We are here for another round of the Rubbins Racing Online League for Next Gen. We are here at Dover Speedway tonight, and we have 15 laps of what should be some very intense racing tonight. Dover is a fast 1 mile track that provides a lot of action for all these drivers and should be a great test for everybody involved. 15 laps of what should be some very intense
Just working on getting
tonight.
everything up,
Dover's
but drivers were just wrapping up qualifying, going to be getting ready to go for the race itself shortly. Waiting for everybody to get gridded up, and we should get those graphics relatively soon. Looks like a very tight field for qualifying, at least through the top three. Top three were only separated by looks like only a couple tenths, so pretty quick overall. Should be a great battle altogether. We should get those graphics up there for you relatively shortly. We can roll through the grid. All right, so to get this lined up for you guys, we have the All right, so we're going to roll you through the grid really quick. We've got in rolling off in P1, the 22 Dominic DeLeo. In P2, we've got the 29 of Robert Mathis. In third, we've got the 33 of Butch Taylor on the inside and the 69 of Nick Leo on the outside. We've got the 75 of Randall Hicks starting off in fifth. 28 of Wayne Grennan's going off in sixth today. We've got the 3 of Kevin Haste in seventh. And rolling off eighth tonight is the 42 of Aaron Stayer. Garrett Hall puts it on 9th to start the grid. Joseph Penn in 10th rolling off. On the inside of row 6, we've got the number 4 of Carter Linz. And on the outside of row 6, we've got the 53 of Stephen Gibson rolling off 12th tonight for the grid.
Yeah, I just...
Rolling off behind them in row 7, we've got the 5 of Jared Reed and the 65 of Ron Smith off 14th. Charlie Gates Jr.'s running off in 15th tonight in the 55. And we've got Jake Vanoski in the 16 rolling off, or in P16 in the car number 7. That's going to run them out. They are ready to go. We're going to be going out for a pace lap, and then we'll be getting ready for a intense 115 laps out here.
Driver Carrington gets dumped by Benami. The leaders are winding up here. Daytona, the big one is out.
Welcome back, fans. We are just getting ready to get rolling for the green. Sorry about the issues there to start off. Pace car is diving off the track off of turn 4. Driver's going to be going on green flag to start this race. Again, we've got Dominic DeLeo leading off the field on the inside. Waiting. And everyone is away, so we've got 115 laps here. Again, it's a mile speedway, pretty high banks, should be some pretty intense racing. These guys are going through some last-minute setups, changes with the iRacing updates, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how everybody sorts it out. Looks like the front 5 all get away cleanly. We've got DeLeo, Mathis, Taylor, Leo, and Hicks all leading out. You can see Leo is looking to the outside. Excuse me, that's Butch Taylor looking to the outside, falling back. He's going to get in line. And we've got big crash already off of turn 4. 2 cars involved. It looks like that was the 3 of Kevin Hayes and the 28 of Wayne Grennan, both involved in that. So we've got a caution out quickly just as we were coming to complete lap 1. Big wreck early on. We're going to pull up the wreckage replay there. We can see Wayne Grennan on the outside, Kevin Hayes on the inside in the 3. And watch them as they come off side by side, coming out of the corners is always very tricky. And it looks like the 28 of Wayne Grennan just gets into the outside wall coming out of turn 4, comes down on Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes really had nowhere to go in that one. Again, these guys do have one fast repair at their disposal in this series, so it's definitely probably going to be time for Kevin Hayes to use it, and I would imagine the 28 of Wayne Grennan would use it. You certainly don't want to be using it this early on with 115 total laps, but if your car's that badly messed up, it's definitely worth it to take it. So side by side coming off the corners here at Dover can be very treacherous. As you can see, the outside car can have issues and come down, and the inside car's just got nowhere to go. It also, with the way the transitions are, can be very tough for any drivers coming off the corner. They can easily lighten up the rear end a little too much and make it uncontrollable and spin off the corners as well. Pace cars got the field grouped up. We're getting ready to complete lap 3. We'll be starting lap 4. I would not imagine to see any of the front runners in pit road at all. Would just imagine to see maybe somebody trying to top the tank off and stretch a couple laps longer, along with the 28 and the 3 as well, coming in to get those fast repairs or try to sit and take any optional repairs that they can get done. So as of right now, your running order is the 22, Dominic DeLeo off in first, Robert Mathis Jr. sitting in second in the 29, Nick Leo in third in the 69, Butch Taylor in fourth in the 33, and Randall Hicks in the 75 in fifth right now. Not a ton of changes up in the front. Looks like Nick Leo and Butch Taylor was the only 2 to swap positions off the start based on the grid. Big changes, though, in the back is both the 28 and the 9, or 28 and the 3 of Wayne Grennan and Kevin Hayes both dropped 9 spots, respectively, from their starting spots with that collision there off of turn 4. A couple other drivers picking up some spots, but we'll see how that changes throughout the race. I want to take a minute again to thank the sponsor for Butt Kicker for this league. Do a great job and really bring a lot of immersion to all of the race fans that bring that. It just helps add another way to make the sim feel that much more realistic and give you guys what's going on. Always glad to have them on with the Rubbins Racing League. It's a great help to these guys and allows us to put on a great league for these guys. 16 cars is a pretty good field here. Dover's definitely a tricky track, especially with these next-gen cars with the updates they're going through. They've got the updated horsepower from NASCAR with the data for 670 horsepower and the smaller spoiler, so that makes it very treacherous on the throttle control coming off. And with that lower spoiler, that also adds a big difference in the downforce that they have. Very easy to spin the cars out as well. Looks like we're going to be going racing next time. Lights are out on the pace car. Everybody's double filing up, so we'll get restarted on lap 6. I have 110 to go. Long way to go. Plenty of time for these guys to make some moves, but also plenty of time for these guys to kind of find the groove and sit behind somebody right now and just ride it out, feel the cars out, feel the setup out, and see what they're going to do about tire wear. Restarting momentarily as the pace car is leading the field down the back of the backstretch, getting ready to enter into turn 3. The other thing too these drivers are going to have to pay attention to is, with this being a concrete track, definitely will change the rubber buildup on it as they run more green flag laps, and it can actually change back under caution. So it'll provide an interesting dynamic for everybody to kind of feel their cars out and see if they want to deviate off of a line that they've preferred, or if they want to stick there the whole time. Pace cars off. We're going to be getting ready to roll soon. Looks like DeLeo puts it in gear out of turn 4, leads the field off. Got some side-by-side racing up front, stacked 2x2 behind it. Front 5 again are looking to try to get themselves sorted out. Now it's stretched out to about the front 6 that are single file. We got some side-by-side racing back there for 6th and 7th. And everybody's got it a little bit wide behind them, running 2x2, trying to get in all the spots. Front 6 really breaking away. You can see the single file allows them to run a little bit cleaner. We've got a good side-by-side battle right now between Aaron Sayer and Carter Linz. That is the 42 and the 4. Side-by-side action looks like it's almost going to get itself sorted out, but the 42 gets a good run off the corner. That's also going to allow the 5 of Jared Reed to insert himself into this battle. He slides right by Carter Linz, so Linz drops back to 9th after that. So you got Sayer in 7th, Reed in 8th, Linz back in 9th. And after that, you've got Steven Gibson looking like he's trying to close up the door to Carter Linz and build this. So Just as I say that too, Jared Reed's trying to look to the inside of Aaron Sayer for 7th and 8th there. It's going to be your best battle on the track right now, as we've got 4 cars that are all close to each other, all running tight. It's about 3/10 separating them in total. Good side-by-side battle, great car control by these guys to stay off of each other. It's great awareness that they have, and just as I say that, they almost look like they want to have a 3-wide moment there between Gibson, Sayer, and Linz. Certainly some aggressive action going on right now. Guys trying to position themselves to save some spots or move up if they can as the race goes on. Front 6 have just pulled away. They've gotten themselves sorted out. Looks like they're all content to run single file and try to save some tires and work their way through it. Everybody behind them, though, is starting to tighten up. We've got some single file, even though there's still some battles going on between the 42 and the 53 there. And everybody looks like they're kind of content to start running single file and just follow the car in front of them, all trying to find their way around this treacherous 1 mile. It is back to the leader. We got the front. That's Dominic DeLeo, Nick Leo up front. Gap's pretty tight, only about a 1/4 second between the two, and the 3 of Robert Mathis Jr. has really created a 3-car breakaway from the next cars for 4th through 6th there. So these 3 are all running great. They've been class of the field most of the season. Great to see DeLeo cranking out on another track. He's proven that he can be a master of many different tracks and different styles, so they'll always make him a threat. But Nick Leo's also provided him some great battles in the 69 Jewel Chevy there, so got a caution out. Looks like that is the 53, or excuse me, the 24 of Joseph Penn. I believe the 4 of Carter Linz was involved in that. Well, let's look at the replay here. And you're going to see the 4 of Carter Linz was coming off the corner. He had his own moment there. Looks like a single car. And just as we say that, Joseph Penn also loses it off of turn 4. So it looks like 2 separate single car accidents that bring it out. Looks like Joseph Penn sliding back up through the groove, smacking the wall hard right at the start-finish line with the nose. That's going to be the cause of the caution, with him being in the way of the racing line. A couple cars able to go low and avoid him. That was our replays. We may expect to see him on pit road, possibly using that fast repair, if not for some damage. So get a few good laps in there, bring out another caution. Could throw a mix in with the strategy if some guys again are starting to think of coming in early, topping off, trying to go a little bit longer. You see a couple guys try to fake it. Looks like that was the 69 of Nick Leo trying to draw some others. We got a few cars behind the pack that are coming in. Looks like the 33 of Butch Taylor, the 5 of Jared Reed, 53 of Stephen Gibson, Charlie Gates Jr.'s in there, 65 of Lee Smith's. Got a few guys that are takers that are going to try to get themselves on alternative strategies. May create an interesting dynamic as this run goes on if we get a long green flag run going. We also see the 24 Joseph Penn in there for repairs, and the 4 of Carter Linz stays out, so we may have been able to avoid contact. Looks like we saw him getting loose through turn 4 in that replay, and then might have been able to keep it off the wall. So we do see a bit of a change in your front 5 now. We've still got the 22 Dominic DeLeo up in first, 69 of Nick Leo running in second. Robert Mathis Jr. moves himself from the 29 up to third. We've got the 13 of Garrett Hall up in fourth, and the 75 of Randall Hicks brings out our top 5 right now. Certainly gives these guys a breather with this caution. It gives them a chance to recollect themselves, kind of evaluate how their line's a bit going, and take a minute to kind of cool down. It's a lot of times Dover is a track that you race more of the track itself than you do the cars around you, and you struggle just to keep yourself going in the right direction. It's oftentimes that you can easily overdrive the track, and the driver that can be fastest at the end of it may not be driving his hardest every single lap, but is doing the best job of keeping the car under control. It's also very easy to light tires up when you're coming out of the corners if you're getting it loose, kind of like we saw with Joseph Penn in the 24 losing it. Even if you don't spin out fully, if you slide those rear tires, they can get very hot, and it'll make entries very treacherous on the next few laps if you don't cool them down. We are going to be getting everybody gridded up side by side. Pace cars through turn 2 right now. Everybody's going to be filing up 2 by 2. Again, to start this off, we are going to have the 22 and the 69 DeLeo and Leo on the inside and outside of row 1. Row 2 is going to be the 29 of Mathis Jr. and the 13 of Garrett Hall. Row 3 is going to be the 75 of Randall Hicks, the 42 of Aaron Sayer. Row 4 is going to be the 7 of Jake Vanoski and the 4 of Carter Linz. And we are going to have row 5 be the 28 of Wayne Grudden and the 5 of Jared Reed. That's going to wrap our top 10 out for the start of this.
Pace car's routing through turn 3 right now. We should see the pace car pulling off momentarily. Race will be in the control of Dominic DeLeo when he's ready to start off. See if he goes early like he did on the last restart. And it looks like he does. Try to get a good launch out of the corner. Got side by side all the way down. Let's see if DeLeo and Nick Leo are content to run single file through turn 1. It's like they sort themselves out. You can kind of see them with that low entry, bringing it up to about the middle line through the corner, coming back down. It's often a diamond move the drivers use to get a little bit of a better drive off, try to straighten the corners out, especially at this track. It allows the car to keep it a little bit more planted as it come out of the corner and just come straight up that hill rather than coming across it. These two are going to run it real close. We're going to keep it on this battle up front. This is a really tight battle, only about just under 2 tenths. Just as we say that, we get another caution out. We've got the 7 of Jake Vinoski. Looks like it might have been the 3 of Kevin Hayes. We'll get up to that. Believe that was him involved. We will get a replay, and just as we say that, we've also got the 55. Let's check back here and see what happened. Looks like the 7 of Vinoski gets loose off of turn 4, gets right in front of Carter Lins. That stacks the whole field up. You've got a bunch of cars checking up, and just as that happens, 7 comes down, collects both the 4 and the 3 of Carter Hayes, as well as Joseph Penn. So a couple innocent bystanders. Fortunately, for the 24 and the 3, not much to go. And honestly, the 4 didn't really have too much to do once the 7 got loose and was losing it. It's very hard to save these next-gen cars. Once they get going, they're very, very tough to reel back in. So certainly understandable once Jake Vinoski lost it. Very hard for him to catch it back up. But we've got some carnage pretty early on. This will be our 3rd caution. Don't think DeLeo likes to see that. I'm guessing he's feeling pretty good with his pace. He'd like to get a green flag running, kind of check out from the field, but it certainly allows the guys in the back a chance to get that fast repair, get their cars back out there, and feel like they still got a good shot at trying to work their way back up to the field. Certainly may bring some different strategies in with all these caution laps if guys are going to be able to take advantage of fuel saving, or if they're going to look and stick to whatever pre-planned strategy they might have had coming into this start of this race and roll with that. Certainly is a treacherous track. Again, Dover is one of the toughest on not only the Rubbins Racing League schedule for this season, but also for the real-life NASCAR schedule. It's provides very unique challenges in how it's shaped and how hard and fast it is, but how aggressive you have to run it. It creates a lot of interesting dynamics, both when you're racing around other cars as well as even on your own. It's one that guys can feel very fortunate and very, very proud of themselves when they come out with a good finish, but also can provide a lot of moments that might upset them for what they wanted to do. Gonna be coming around this time to complete lap 19, so we'll be very, very early on in this. They're not even a fifth of the way through this, so a lot of laps left to go. Lights are out on the. Get an update that the 24 of Joseph Penn is unable to rejoin the race. He will be finished for the evening, and he will be finishing a P16. I'll give a couple of these guys, mainly the 7 of Jake Vinoski, the 3 of Kevin Hayes, and the 28 of Wayne Grun, a chance to try to gap themselves from there, even though they're a lap down, and possibly make a run at picking up a couple more spots rather than feeling like they're relegated to a last place finish. Pace cars coming down the back stretch again. Pretty much the same running order up front. Top 5 was unchanged from that last restart. See if we can get a few more laps under green, or if we're going to have another quick caution. Saying often is caution breeds caution. It can very, very quickly happen, and especially as they all regroup, if they're trying to race hard and pick up any spots, it can happen very quickly. Pace car is going to be pulling off. Wait to see when DeLeo takes control of the field. Looks like he waits just a little bit longer, gets the start right outside of the exit of turn 4, gets himself a pretty good gap. You can see really pulled away from the 29 of Robert Mathis Jr. Nick Leo does a good job following him off the start. These two have been doing a pretty good job of keeping it pretty tight off the start. Nick Leo hasn't let Dominic DeLeo get too far out off the start.
Got a couple double file battles behind. For the most part, looks like everybody's trying to run single file. I would imagine there may have been a message sent to just try to get the drivers to settle in a little bit, see if we can get some green flag racing. Got a little bit of contact with the wall. We're watching the 5 right now of Jared Reed. He's falling in behind Aaron Sayer. Just behind him, we've got the 75 of Randall Hicks and the 33 of Butch Taylor. But a great battle right now between the 42 and the 5 of Sayer and Reed for 5th and 6th on track right now. Top 3 have sorted themselves out single file and starting to pull away. Flash back to them, take a look at it. Out in front, Nick Leo's doing a good job trying to keep himself close to Dominic DeLeo. It's about a quarter of a second gap between them, and then about another 3.5 to 4 tenths back to the 19 of Robert Mathis Jr. All 3 front cars seem to be pretty equal, about the same pace, just all content to ride with each other. We've got a great battle back here again between the 5 and the 42 of Jared Reed and Aaron Sayer. They are just behind the 13 of Garrett Hall. And it's looking like Jared Reed and the 5 is really trying to push the pace and see if he can get back up to the back bumper of the 13. He's really been closing in that time. Picked up a couple hundredths the last time by, and I would imagine you're going to see an even bigger gain this time by as they come across the line. Yeah, you can certainly see it's just under 3/10 of a gain. It is important to note that the 5 of Jared Reed did come in at lap 13, so he's got a little bit of fresher rubber that seems to be paying quite a bit of a dividend in terms of lap times and pace on the track. Wouldn't be surprised to see the 13 of Garrett Hall just let him by at some point, let him take advantage of that fresh rubber without burning up his own tires. But as I say that, looks like the 13 is running him pretty aggressive, so I don't think he wants to fall out of the clutches of that 4 spot and maintain that. It's also allowing the front 3 to pull away from them the more they continue to battle side by side. Definitely providing some great on-track action. You can see they're entering fairly low, drifted up pretty high, and looks like the 5's trying to dive down low. We're going to flash back to the front. We've got 22 of Dominic DeLeo and the 69 still up front. That gap's still bouncing around between a quarter of a second and 3/10. Pretty consistent there. Does look like that the 29 of Robert Mathis has fallen back just a little bit from the back end of Nick Leo in the 69. It's about half a second to 6/10 of a second now. And just as I say that, the 69 gets a good run off of turn 4 down the front stretch, really closing the gap up on the 22. Seems like he might be taking a little bit higher of an entry into the corner, maybe trying to set up a cut down to the bottom to try to get a run off of the corner to get by the 22. Passes here can often take a full lap to complete, as you can get side by side with somebody coming out of one corner and you really won't be able to complete the pass until you come out the other end of the track. But also looks like the 69 of Nick Leo may be content to just close that gap, keep himself close enough to Leo. He doesn't lose track of him, but he doesn't want to force any issues, especially since we're only just getting ready to complete lap 29, starting lap 30 this time by. Got a great battle on the track. Looks like we've got some slower traffic that's fallen off. Some other guys might have parked it as well for the evening. Great battle up front. Looks like Dominic DeLeo starting to pull the gap just a little bit. Last time by was about 2/10 quicker. Might have been one of those where Nick Leo decided to give a run at Dominic to see what he had for him and see what he could do pace-wise, and as he didn't catch him, try to back it off just a little bit and ride. That time by, lap times were almost identical between the two. It's a great battle there. We're going to flash back to the battle of third between the 5 of Jared Reed and the 29 of Robert Mathis. Jared Reed making a great start from where he qualified. He's up 10 spots, up from 13th starting spot all the way up to the 3rd. And certainly had quite a bit of pace with those fresh tires. He's really been our biggest mover since the restart, doing a great job taking advantage of that fresh rubber, trying to work his way up towards the front. May also pay off bigger dividends as we get into that run, as that 13 laps will continue to provide him a benefit compared to the 22 and 69 of DeLeo. Running a little bit less lap times this time by, but pretty close overall, just about a 10th off of DeLeo, and DeLeo and Nick Leo running almost identical lap times, so you see that gap about even out. We're going to flash back to the battle in the lead, and this gap has stayed anywhere from about a quarter of a second to 3/10. It's just seesawing back and forth. I think both drivers are really trying to play a bit of a chess match, feel each other out, and see what they can do in terms of pace as well as what they want to do with their own cars in relation to what the other is doing. As you get into these long runs here at Dover with the way the tire is, it's often a little bit better to dial your pace back and see if you can let the car either in front or behind you push themselves a little bit harder and you can take advantage of it at the back run. But just as we see that, you see the 22 of Dominic DeLeo get a little loose off of turn 4. I think he might be hustling that car a little bit more than what might have been led to believe. Certainly a bit of a scary moment there, but he does a great job of saving it, keeping it clean going up front. This is certainly a great battle, is with that bit of a mistake that allowed Nick Leo to close up by about a tenth or so. See if that gap continues to improve or if it starts to stabilize again. Almost identical lap times every lap out of these two. It's really providing great on-track battles. They've really gapped themselves quite a bit from the 5 of Jared Reed. About 2 seconds, almost 2.25 seconds ahead of the 5. So these two really showing themselves right now to be the class of the field. They're also going to be approaching lap traffic relatively soon as they get up there. That may play a factor in this. Just as we pan back, we've got a battle for 4th between the 29 of Robert Mathis and the 33 of Butch Taylor. It looks like Mathis enters a little bit higher. Butch Taylor takes advantage of that going through turn 1, dives down low, cuts underneath him. It's a little bit of loose off of turn 2 there coming down the backstretch. You see him chasing down the track a little bit. Still able to pull away from the 29 of Robert Mathis, though. He also was one that pitted under the caution, not the most recent caution, the one before that. So he's on tires from lap 14. So a little bit of fresher rubber than Robert Mathis Jr. I think you're seeing that's why the 5 of Jared Reed and the 33 of Butch Taylor are able to start moving up through the field. Certainly try to take advantage of that fresh rubber and pick up a couple spots off the restart while they can. That gap's opening up a little bit. Lap times that time by about 0.3 of a difference, and that's your benefit for fresh rubber there between somebody that hasn't taken any tires yet and someone that has. He's doing a great job of controlling it. Again, when you get that fresh rubber, you want to push, try to take advantage of it. You certainly do not want to drive too hard and cause yourself to burn it up and lose that advantage. We're going to go back to the front battle here. You've got both of them still stacked up, and they have put one car lap down behind them. Looks like they got through by him with no issues. A little bit of a gap to the next lap car of the 28 of Wayne Brennan, so gives them a little bit of time to just battle with each other, feel each other out. The gap opens up a little bit. It's back to about 1/4 second, as they are still running almost identical lap times. They're within just a couple hundredths every lap, going back and forth. So this is going to be a great battle for the rest of the evening if it continues this way. Going to be coming out of turn 3 this time by. Battling, we're going to switch back to the battle for 6th. This is going to be between the 13 of Garrett Hall and the 42 of Aaron Sayer. Both of these two are on equal tires. They've started on the same set that they pulled off the pit road on. Go side by side down the front stretch into turn 1. The 42 is going to take the low line. 13 of Garrett Hall is going to concede the position and choose to drop right back behind 42. I think he made the wise choice to do that, as he knew the 4 of Carter Lins, who has the freshest tires on the track, was approaching him. Certainly realized that the longer they battled side by side, the quicker that would draw the 4 into this and potentially put him back 2 spots rather than just the 1. That's a race tactic a lot of drivers will use this early on when we're only about 1/3 of the way through the race, recognizing that it's better to lose just 1 spot than potentially put yourself in a position to fall further behind. We're going to quickly be coming up to the damaged car up ahead. That is the 65 of Lee Smith. Certainly going to be trying to work their way around him as quickly as possible. Traditionally, when you run a low line like this, it's often common for the slower driver to yield that preferred lower line. You see that he does go high to allow 42 of Aaron Sayer by. And you've got Carter Lins working by the 65 as well. He actually gets by Garrett Hall that time by, so move Carter Lins up to 7th, put Garrett Hall back in 8th. See if Lins can try to track down Aaron Sayer that time. Last time by for the 2, about a 2/10 advantage on the clock for the 4 of Carter Lins over Aaron Sayer. He's got about just under half a second to pick up to get to the back of Aaron Sayer, but we'll also see when he gets there if Aaron Sayer is going to let him by, recognize that he's got the fresher rubber and might have the speed advantage, or if he's going to try to battle him hard for it. You can see all three of these, Sayer, Linz, and Garrett Hall, spreading out pretty evenly. A little bit of a gap between the 42 of Aaron Sayer and the 4 of Carter Linz, but Carter Linz is certainly closing that up as quickly as he can. Getting a good green flag run in. Seems like everybody's kind of sorted themselves out from that last restart. I think everybody's starting to feel a little more content with where their cars might be. Choosing to ride single file, ride this out. We are only 46 laps down, 47 to go, so we've got a long way. Still got 79 laps, so quite a bit of racing left to go for you tonight. Seems like we've got everybody really, again, kind of just content to feel this out and choose to find somebody to kind of pace themselves off, ride it out. You're seeing some fresher tires work, and the 5 of Jared Reed and the 33 of Butch Kaler moving themselves. See Carter Linz tried to make some moves with fresher tires. Everybody else in the top 9 is all on their original set of tires, so we may see some varying pit stop strategies coming up in the next 15 to 20 laps or so. Focusing on the 5 of Jared Reed right now as you see him coming out of turn 2, entering the backstretch. He's pulling a bit away from 33 of Butch Taylor, while the Butch Taylor's trying to close down on about a 10th faster the last time by. They're on 1 lap difference of tires as they both pitted under the same caution. So for all intents and purposes, they've got the same set of rubber. A little bit faster that time for Butch Taylor, 24.15 to a 23.98. And just as we say that, you see Jared Reed really lose it off a turn 2. Great job of saving it down the backstretch, especially to keep it from getting into the 33 of Butch Taylor. So that's going to allow the 33 of Butch Taylor to get by. He's going to take over 3rd place that time. That's going to put Jared Reed back to 4th place. Pretty fortunate to have a pretty big gap back to the 29 of Robert Mathis that really allowed him to make that mistake and not lose too many spots, but he's certainly going to have to take it easy now as those rear tires are going to be incredibly hot. That's going to make both entries and exits very treacherous on the car for the next few laps until he can get those cooled back down. Gives Butch Taylor a bit of a free pass in a way, but a great job by him being able to avoid that, recognize that coming up ahead. Also allows him to get by without having to battle too hard and potentially put any more stress and wear on those tires as he wants. See if he can close down on the 22 of DeLeo and the 69 of Nick Leo at all. Last time by, lap times were almost identical between your top 3, so certainly going to see how people are feeling about pace. This time by about 2/10 difference between Dominic DeLeo and the 33 of Butch Taylor. Great battles. We're going to pan back to Dominic DeLeo there in the 22. He's approaching some more lap cars. He comes up and he's also gotten by the 28 of Wayne Grennan, so quicker he can get by these, he's going to feel happier. It's going to put a little bit of a safety gap between him and Nick Leo in the 69. It's by the 55 of Charlie Gates Jr., and his next one there is going to be the 53 of Stephen Gibson. Gets by both of those, no problem. Looks like some really respectful racing out of both Gibson and Gates Jr. to let the leaders by. Imagine to see the same thing for the 69 of Nick Leo, although this presents an interesting conundrum for both Gates Jr. and Gibson, as they are both battling each other for a position, so it's hard when you want to try to contend for the position, but you also want to let the front runners by as easily as possible. Nick Leo gets away with no problem. Gap stands at just under a second this time by. A little bit of a slower lap time for Nick Leo that time by. He was contending with a lot of traffic. Nick DeLeo had that clean track up ahead, so it allows him to run a little bit faster. See if that gap closes at all. Looks like our only two back here for a battle for 6th. We've got, me, 5th, the 29 of Robert Mathis Jr. and 42 of Aaron Sayer. These two are both on the same tires, so you're seeing a little bit of a difference of what might be somebody trying to push their car a little bit harder, and Robert Mathis might either be trying to save a little bit more, or he may have had a bit of an issue with burning up tires before then. Aaron Sayer doing a great job to stay in front of the 4 Carter Linz. Carter Linz trying to track him down for 6th place, but Aaron Sayer also trying to keep his best up with Robert Mathis. Just as we say that, you see Carter Linz diving off of turn 4 down the low side of the front stretch to get by the 42 of Aaron Sayer. Carterland's really trying to do the best he can. He's got the freshest tires out of anybody in the top 9, and really trying to do his best to close down on Robert Mathis. He's got a bit of a way to go, got about a second, just over a second to get to Robert Mathis, but he's certainly clicking off lap times that should get him there in just a few laps overall. Done a really good job to rebound from his spin off a previous caution. It seems like he didn't have any damage to the car, so he didn't have to use that fast repair, and he's really doing a great job of taking advantage of that fresh rubber, trying to move his way up. Closing quite a bit on Robert Mathis. We will check the lap times this time by as they both come out of turn 4 to cross the stripe to complete lap 59. That time by almost identical lap times. The gap stands at just about a second there between the two. And just as we say that, we've got no caution, excuse me. We're still under green. Going to be coming off of turn 4 this time. Leaders completed lap 60. We've got 60 on the board and 55 to go. Just over the halfway mark. And only 2 cars out still, just the 3 of Kevin Hayes and the 24 of Joseph Penn. We've got 14 cars running with 8 cars on the lead lap, excuse me, just as I said, at 75 goes the lap down, so should be a pretty good battle. We've got a pretty tight battle up front, a little bit of a gap, and then we've got Butch Taylor and Jared Reed on similar pit strategies. They're running about a second apart from each other, and we've still got just under a second gap between the 29 of Robert Mathis and the 4 of Carter Linz. This stays green, you will see a little bit of a movement, and that's where the varying pit strategies will come into play. It'll be interesting to see when the 22 of DeLeo, the 69 of Nick Leo, and the 29 of Robert Mathis in the top 5 come to pit road. It'd be hard-pressed to find the way that they could run this entire race on 1 tank of fuel, even with all the caution laps we had earlier. I would expect you see them sometime in probably the next 15 to 20 laps. But as I said that before, they seem to keep stretching. I think they're content to try to take it as far as they can. Try to have as short of a run as possible the remaining of the race and try to take best advantage of those fresh tires rather than splitting the race in half. I think all those extra caution laps towards the beginning really helped them save their tires a little bit. Allowed them to choose a strategy to try to shorten it up the back end. Just as I say that, looks like the 22 and the 69, DeLeo and Nick Leo, both choose to come in for their pit service and start their track down the pit road on the front stretch. Would fully expect to see 4 tires and a full tank of fuel out of them. This should be their only stop needed for the rest of the race should we go green. If we get a caution at any point, that could provide an interesting wrench in the strategy. We'll still focus on this battle of the 29 of Robert Mathis and the 4 of Carter Linz. They're coming out of turn 4. This is for a battle for 3rd and 4th now. Carter Linz dives to the inside, going into turn 1. Mathis holds high, cuts down low. I think Mathis recognized that Carter Linz got the pace and the fresher tires and allowed him to get on by rather than pushing his tires at all. So with that pit stop, we've got the 33 of Butch Taylor in 1st, the 5 of Jared Reed in 2nd, and then this battle of Carter Linz in 3rd, Robert Mathis in 4th, and you've got Garrett Hall rounding out your top 5. Randall Hicks is in the 75. He's the last car right now on the lead lap to have not pitted. Currently, Dominic DeLeo, Nick Leo are both a lap down. However, once pit stops cycle out, you would expect to see the 33 and the 5 also back on pit road. So you should see DeLeo and Nick Leo circle back to the lead should we stay green. It's going to be interesting to see what the 29 of Robert Mathis and the 75 of Randall Hicks are going to do, how long they stay out there. We're going to pan to the front. This is the battle between the 33 of Butch Taylor and then the 5. You can see Nick Leo in the 69 taking advantage of that fresher rubber, driving right on by the leader of Butch Taylor. Pretty big substantial pace difference there. It was about 7/10 the last time by. Just as I said, it looks like Butch Taylor is going to be choosing to come into pit road as we're riding on board with him. He's pulling off of turn 3 and 4, running down. Going to get it slowed down. He's got to get it down to, I believe, 50 miles an hour for the pace speed by that cone. And that's going to put the number 5 of Jared Reed up to the lead. See how long he decides to stretch it now that Butch Taylor has pulled it off. Same thing, we'll see how long the 29 of Robert Mathis and the 75 of Randall Hicks decide to stay out, as they are the only two left on track that have not pitted at all during this race. 4 of Carter Linz is also on pit road for service. We're seeing a little bit of a shakeup in the front of the field with this. Jared Reed's on his own side of the track right now. He's got about a 9.5 second lead right now over the 29 of Robert Mathis. So he's pretty content to run. I think he might be trying to see if he can get a caution and time his pit stop that way so that he can trap as many people down a lap and not go as far back if he takes 4 tires and full of fuel. Although with the field spreading out like this now, we may not see one. Might be a bit tougher to get any incidents unless somebody loses control on their own. 29 of Robert Mathis is in the pit road, so that leaves the 75 of Randall Hicks as the only car left on the track that has not come in for service yet this race. Also going to move the 22 of Dominic DeLeo and the 69 of Nick Leo up to 3rd and 4th once they circle back around to get by Robert Mathis on pit road. I'm going to be looking at the 75 of Randall Hicks right now. He's certainly giving up quite a bit in pace. He's about a 1.5 seconds off to the 22 and the 69 the last time by, so he's got to be thinking that he's hoping for a caution to try to take advantage of that, and if not, he may be having to give that up relatively soon and come in for tires. Can't imagine that they have a ton more life left in them. It's got to be a pretty difficult task right now, especially if that right front's worn out, to try to get that car to turn well through the corners. And with the pace that they're going, it will not be too long before Dominic DeLeo and Nick Leo in the 69 are able to catch up to the back of Randall Hicks. They're about half a lap right now behind, but at a closing rate of over a second a lap, it's certainly not going to take long, as we are on lap 75 next time by. We are going to have 40 to go. And coming up to the closing third of this race, they've really gotten a great green flag run in since the last caution. Great job by all these drivers to keep it clean. You can see they are working by slower traffic. Randall Hicks is. He's almost a full lap down to the 5 of Jared Reed. Just shows you the difference in the tires and the pace that allows you to have. Great battle. Great job by Randall Hicks trying to stay out there. Like I said, I gotta imagine he's just trying to bank on a caution in order to not lose as many stops or as many spots when he has to pit. Certainly trying to do the best he can to stretch this out. Would say all of those caution laps early on are really helping his shot at trying to make this strategy work, but it certainly can be a bit tougher. You can see he almost pushes out of turn 4 into the outside retaining wall, able to keep it off, but that car certainly has to be getting tougher inside the car to get around this track cleanly. It's treacherous on tires that feel good, let alone once you've got the tires worn out. We're going to stay focused on Hicks for a moment. Still, again, about just under a 1.5 seconds difference between last lap time for Randall Hicks and 22 with Dominic DeLeo. He is certainly closing in. Only about 8 seconds back, so we should see him get to Randall Hicks in the next 5 to 6 laps if Randall stays on the track. We've certainly got some slower, or cars with fresher laps on their tires come in more recently, trying to get on by him. Currently at this time, Jared Reed in 5 actually has the full field lap down. You could see that was the car that went by. We're focusing on him right now just ahead of Randall Hicks, so he's sitting in the best spot, and certainly if a caution were to come out now, he could pit and be in just the catbird seat. I think he wants to stay out here as long as he possibly can, try to keep the leaders or everybody else lap down if possible. And it's certainly going to be interesting to see. He is definitely off on pace, although not as bad as Randall Hicks with slightly fresher tires. But we should see Dominic DeLeo approaching him for relatively soon. But it's still going to have a tough task for DeLeo to try to catch up if Jared Reed's able to stay out the whole time. So interesting strategies playing out here right now to see how that goes and what happens. And he chooses to come down pit road. We've actually got the leader of Jared Reed involved. It looks like he nosed it into the inside retaining wall just after the start finish line on the front stretch. Heavy damage to that right front. Looks like he's getting
hard time getting that control. Let's see what happens here in the wreckage replay. The 28 of Wayne Grennan just ahead of him. He's coming low off of turn 4. Wayne Grennan gets into the outside wall off of turn 4 and just comes right down into the 5 of Jared Reed. Not really much Jared Reed could do there, just an unfortunate spot to be by. He was certainly closing up on Wayne Grennan. Might be thinking to himself now he might have wished to just wait a little bit and see if he could get by the 28 down the straightaway instead, but certainly not out of it as he comes flying into pit road. I think he's going to be a little bit unhappy about that. May look at using that fast repair if he's got that available, and hopefully not falling too far back. Also going to allow the 22 of DeLeo, 69 of Nick Leo, and the 33 of Butch Taylor to all get their laps back. They will be able to get back onto the lead lap for the next restart. And this caution coming up at lap 82 of 115. As we are currently on 83, we've got 36 laps to go. Closing in on the last quarter of the race. Had a great long green flag run there for our 4th caution of the night, so again gives these drivers a good chance to try to catch their breath, try to sort it out. Also, I'm sure it gives the 69 of Nick Leo a very welcome shot to try to close back up to Dominic DeLeo's. Their gap had opened up quite a bit after the last pit stop that they had on lap 64. We'll see it's a bit of a shorter run. Tire saving is not going to be as much of a premium, but you certainly don't want to go all out quite immediately and burn up your stuff too early on. So we're going to see how everybody sorts out. I think you could potentially see the front runners as we do. We've got Dominic DeLeo, Nick Leo, and the 69 and Butch Taylor and the 33 all coming back down to pit road. I think they're going to choose to get the 4 fresh tires, have as best of an advantage as they can, and see if they've got something now to put themselves on the same strategy as Jared Reed, who's still in the lead, and see if they can try to find any sort of pace to get on by him. Also going to put the 75 of Randall Hicks back up in the mix in the top 5 as he was last in on lap 80, just a few laps before that caution came out. So should have a good 5-way battle as we get this restart. Pace car is going to be rolling down the back stretch coming into turn 3. Again, want to thank everybody that's tuned in. Great to have all the support. We know these drivers love watching it. Some of them will have the streams pulled up while they're racing, watching that, and some of them will go back and see this afterwards. They all appreciate your support. Tuning in on this provides for a successful season for these guys in the Rubbins Racing League. We're going to be getting everybody gridded up. We've got the pace car with lights out down the middle of the backstretch. It's looking like your starting order is going to be the 5 of Jared Reed. You're going to have the 22 Dominic DeLeo going off second, the 75 of Randall Hicks in third, the 69 of Nick Leo in fourth, and the 33 of Butch Taylor in fifth. Those are your top 5, and those are also your 5 cars that are on the lead lap at this point. Pace car is going to be diving off. Jared Reed's going to have control of the field to start. Looks like they're going to be lining up single file. And Jared Reed is off. He's going to be leading Dominic DeLeo in the 22 down the front stretch as they approach turn 1. Looks like a bit of a more cautious start than we've seen on some of the previous restarts, although we do say that as we've got a little bit of side-by-side battles with 4 of Carter Lins. You can see he's on the inside. You've got the 7 of Jake Vanoski, so we had some lap cars that were mixed in, and just as we say that, we've got another caution for an instant in the middle of turn 3 and turn 4 back there.
Looks like we've got the 53 of Stephen Gibson involved in that. We'll get a replay pulled up shortly, the Wreckage Rewind, and see what happened here. Got the 53 of Gibson on the outside and the 29 of Robert Mathis Jr. on the inside, going through the middle of 3 and 4. Looks like the 53 just gets a little bit loose, chases it down the track. Oh, we had a slower car up in front that actually caused the issue that went up into Gibson and Mathis Jr. That was the 7 of Jake Vinosky. You can see him cutting straight back up the track, narrowly misses the 29 of Robert Mathis Jr. and the 53 of Gibson had absolutely nowhere to go. Rewind that. Looks like Vinosky's just going to lose it through the middle of 3 and 4, going to chase it down the apron and come right back up the track. Narrow miss for the 29 of Robert Mathis and just absolutely clobbers the 53 of Gibson. There was nothing there that Stephen Gibson can do at all. We've got another crash here. It looks like Randall Hicks was involved in this one. Let's pull this replay up as well. It's like this was under caution. He just has an issue and just turns hard right on the front stretch. Not sure if he had some sort of hardware issue or something happened. That was definitely an odd turn to the right that we did not expect. Looks like you might also have the 53 of Gibson behind with some heavy front end damage. Looks like there's some internal engine damage. You can see the smoke coming out of the back of his car. That engine might be expired as he rolls around. See if he's got a fast repair left or if he's going to be sitting on pit road for the night with repairs for that. Don't expect you're going to see any of the front 5 in this time, as we just got the repair, or just got the restart. Likely to see them out. Should also bring the 4 of Carter Lynn's back onto the lead lap, so that'll leave us with 6 on the lead lap when we get our 5th restart for the night. Would say this is definitely giving Jared Reed some breathing room. I think he's probably well aware of the pace that Dominic DeLeo and Nick Leo have. Randall Hicks doing a great job holding it in 3rd place, up 2 spots from his starting spot of 5th tonight. He's doing a great job of running up front, but I think Jared Reed's well aware of the uphill battle that he's got to fight, but I think he's pretty confident in his abilities to keep it up front, and he certainly wants to show these guys that he's not one to be messed with as well. Up 12 spots from the 13th starting spot, so he is our biggest mover for the night and in a great spot to score and a very impressive finish if he can hold on to that, although he's still going to have a good bit of the race left, just under a quarter. And we coming across the line this time by to start lap 90, so still plenty of laps and plenty of time for more intense battles to happen, and we could see another caution quickly out of this. Again, cautions breed cautions. Madness is never done until the checker comes out. Looks like they are going to be getting the 1 to go this time by. Lights are out on the pace cart. You can see everybody start to double file this up as they enter into turn 1. Drivers are going to be getting their last minute mental preparations on this lap, figure out what they want to do for strategy, how hard they want to push it, where do they want to run, try to plan where they might think the drivers in front of them are weak, where they can take advantage of that. I think you might see a little bit more patience as we're still going to have 25 laps to go when we get the green flag restart, but I think a lot of guys recognize that those laps are definitely going to click off pretty quick, so the aggression level should start to ramp back up as we near the closing stage of this races, and guys may not allow so much of that patience and that courtesy that we saw earlier on in the long green flag run. Every spot's going to be important for these guys. They're going to be pushing their hardest to try to get all they can get out of their machines the rest of the way. Pace car is going to be pulling down off the racing surface shortly. Just as I say that, it's headed on the pit road. Jared Reed in the 5 is going to have control of the field. We'll see when he decides to go. Looks like he's going to choose a little bit of a later start, try to get the run as they get onto the front stretch. He's going to have a bit of a gap away from Dominic DeLeo in the 22. DeLeo and the 69 of Nick Leo are going to run side by side. Jared Reed's going to love seeing this side-by-side. They get sorted out single file. That would have been the best thing for him to see them run side-by-side for him to try to extend that gap. You can see Nick Leo gets a really good jump, pulls about 3/10 ahead of Dominic DeLeo, and he's going to be chasing Jared Reed down. I think he recognizes this is his best shot to try to position himself for a win. Just as that, you see him with that higher entry he's been favoring all race long. Dominic DeLeo seems to try to favor the lower line, wants to put himself to the inside. We've got a great battle back here for third and fourth between the 75 of Randall Hicks and the 22 of Dominic DeLeo. Randall Hicks certainly trying to insert himself for this battle for the front and say, hey guys, I'm also certainly capable of winning here. Great battle up in the front. Super clean racing, but these guys are definitely pushing it hard as we've only got 23 left to go. You can see Jared Lee still pacing the field out front. He's got about a quarter second of the gap from 69 to Nick Leo. Nick Leo certainly hustling this car, trying to get to him as quickly as he can. Looks like he brings the line down a little bit through 3 and 4. Just as that, we've got another caution. Got a car in the middle of turn 3. That is the 29 of Robert Mathis. Just going to bring the caution out with 22 laps to go. Let's see the Wreckage Rewind replay. Be a bit tough to judge from that angle there what happened. Let's take a look this time by. Looks like he comes up a little bit. I think he was thinking the 42 of Aaron Sayre might give him a little bit more room. They make contact. That sends the 29 around. Looks like the 42 gets away pretty unscathed. I think that might be one of those where when you're this many laps left to go, you're not really willing to give any room to the other drivers, especially with those two battling for 8th and 9th on the track. I think they were both trying to go for the same piece of real estate on the track, and neither one wanted to give to the other, and unfortunately the 29 of Robert Mathis caught the raw end of that one. Jared Reed again going to be pacing the field as they come across the line. You're going to have 21 laps to go. Still would not imagine to see anybody in the front of the field choosing to take any tires. And just as I say that, we have the 22 of Dominic DeLeo in pit road and the 33 of Butch Taylor coming in as well. I believe the rule for this league is unlimited sets of tires. So these guys certainly can use that to their strategy. Especially if you're somebody like DeLeo who feels like you can get a bit of an advantage over guys now that we've got a few green flag laps on this and a couple restart cycles on it. You can try to take advantage of that and see if he can come away a little bit ahead of everybody, especially if we can go green the rest of the way. I wouldn't have been surprised to see that same strategy out of the 4 of Carter Lins as well. He is on the oldest tires out of everybody on the lead lap, which now is 7 to include the 13 of Garrett Hall. Would not have been surprised to see the 4 Carter Lins take the same strategy if I was in this race. I may have done the same thing, being at the back of the lead pack, not really losing anything, and certainly can try to take advantage of that. Looks like the 13 of Garrett Hall's got that same thought process as he gets his lap back and decides to promptly come into pit road to get fresh tires. Certainly, if you're starting at the back of the lead lap, you're not really giving up any time, and you've got a lot to gain by those fresher tires. They're going to have about 12 lap fresher tires compared to the front 3, and they're going to be about 25 lap fresher tires compared to the 4 of Carter Lynn. So we're going to see if there's going to be any pace difference between the 22 of DeLeo, the 33 of Butch Taylor, and the 13 of Garrett Hall compared to especially the 4 of Carter Lynn, but also the 5 of Jared Reed in first, the 69 Nick Leo in second, and the 75 of Randall Hicks. Especially with laps clicking down, this may be a moment for those guys to say, excuse me, I'm not going to wait too long for you to get out of my way. We may also see the chrome horn potentially used in order to pull off a pass if they feel that they do not have the time to wait. Again, I would say, unless Jared Reed really feels like he has a substantial pace advantage over the rest of the field, he may be content with this race just running under caution the rest of the way. Allows him to kind of equalize his tires out, not burn him off too much, and if he feels like he's got good short run speed, he can definitely take advantage of less laps remaining and try to push it as hard as possible. Should be getting the 1 to go this time by. So they'll be getting the restart with 18 to go. Be on lap 98 for the restart. Lights on the pace car are out this time by, so you're going to see everybody double file it up. We've got the 5 of Jared Reed in the Ford up front and first. We've got the 69 of Nick Leo in the Chevy in second. We've got the
75 of Randall Hicks in third in a Toyota. And we've got the 22 of Dominic DeLeo the 4 of Carter Linz in the Chevy, starting in the outside of row 2 in fourth. So we've got all three manufacturers represented in the top three. Got a Ford and the 22 of Dominic DeLeo starting in fifth. And we've got the 33 of Butch Taylor running in the Chevy, rounding out the top six. And our last car on the lap is the 13 of Garrett Hall. Rounding out your top five, we've got the 42 of Aaron Sayer in eighth, the 29 of Robert Mathis Jr. in ninth, and the 65 of Lee Smith in 10th. Gonna be getting ready to restart here momentarily. Pace cars should be working their way off of the racing surface right now. Again, Jarrett Reed's got control of the field for the restart. We're going to see if he chooses to go earlier out of turn 4 or if he's going to wait like he did on the last restart. Looks like the field gets bunched up, and he gets a good launch there. Not pulling away quite as far from Nick Leo as he did on the last restart, but 18 laps to go. It's going to be a good battle to the finish. We'll see how these guys get it sorted out. They're going to be able to circle by the slower car of Gibson as they come by. About a 3/10 different that time going into turn 3 between the 5 of Jared Reed and the 69 of Nick Leo. 17 laps to go. Dominic DeLeo making a big move up to 4th off the restart, able to dispose of Carter Linz pretty quickly, but we've got a great battle up here for the front. You can see just in the back of the screen, Dominic DeLeo really pushing hard, trying to take advantage of those fresh tires. He moves by Randall Hicks with ease as well. Let's see if he can close down. That was a battle for 3rd and 4th, so that's going to move Randall Hicks back to 4th, Carter Linz back in 5th, Butch Taylor in 6th, and Garrett Hall in 7th right now. Let's pan back to the front. Good battle still between the 69 and the 5 of Jared Reed. Jared Reed still holding off the 69 of Nick Leo. The last time by, Nick Leo was slightly faster at the line, just under a quarter-second gap, so he's trying to chip that away this time by 23.01 for the 5 of Jared Reed to a 22.90 for the 69 of Nick Leo. So he's certainly proven he's got the pace to catch the back of Jared Reed. The question is going to be, is he going to be able to find his way around, and is Jared Reed going to end up making a mistake trying to keep it in front? He's protecting that bottom line through 3 and 4. I think he knows that that's the better way to go, and he wants to try to protect that as much as he possibly can, force Nick Leo to use the outside, try to maybe wear his stuff out a little bit more, or try to have to make an abrasive move and possibly have a run-in with the wall coming out of the corners that way. These two have gapped themselves away from the 22 of Dominic DeLeo. They're about a second and a half ahead of the 22. Dominic DeLeo's pulled away a little bit from the 75. And just as we say that, you see Jared Reed hit the outside wall coming out of turn 4 down the front stretch. That may have been the mistake that Nick Leo in the 69 needed. He closes up to his back bumper, trying to look to the inside, falls in line behind him, but I think he's going to be looking for another potential move out of that. And with that impact, that may have also added a little bit of damage to the 5 of Jared Reed. Might possibly have some suspension issues, alignment issues that might be slowing him down a little bit. Great side bite, or great nose-to-tail battle. These two are showing right now they are the class of the field, trying to pull away. Although the 22 of Dominic DeLeo is trying to close up to them, although I don't know if he'll have enough laps. Certainly a big gap to try to make up, but he can definitely do that with time. You see Nick Leo pushing it hard off of turn 4, gets a little loose coming onto the front stretch. I think he's trying to dig as much as he can, recognizing with 11 laps to go, he cannot afford to let the 5 of Jared Reed pull away from them. Certainly trying to do his best to keep himself in line. Looks like he's trying to dive it down just a little bit lower. You see Jared Reed get loose in the middle of 3 and 4 there. That's going to allow the 69 of Nick Leo to look to the inside. Jared Reed gets a little loose off of turn 4 again. Almost smacks the wall. Does a great job keeping it off, but that's also going to allow the 69 of Nick Leo to pull to the inside. Jared Reed has that open line, or that bottom line open just a little bit. Doesn't want to cut down in. Able to stay in front of him. This is one of the best battles we've seen all race long. Super intense racing between these two. Neither one is willing to back off at all. They're giving it their all, and you can see them hustling these cars. Nick Leo almost with the run in on the wall, but he's going to cut down, dive to the inside. They're going to go side by side through the middle of 1 and 2. Side by side coming off of turn 2. This is super great racing. You can see Jared Reed getting a little loose off of turn 2. That transition's so hard to manage, but he gets a good run down the backstretch, side by side through the middle of 3 and 4.
This is just the best battle we've seen all night. These two are doing a great job. That's also allowing the 22 of Dominic DeLeo to close back up. He's cut the gap down to about 6/10. We could see a three-car battle for the lead, but as it stands right now, side by side between the 5 of Jared Reed and the 69 of Nick Leo, these two are pushing it for all they can. They're going to come across next time by for lap 7. Almost contact going into the 3 and 4. Jared Reed taking the high line. Nick Leo keeping himself to the bottom. Jared Reed getting that run. That top side favors such a good run off of the corner that they're able to continue to stay even. Almost identical lap times as they crossed the line last time by. We've got 7 to go, and I don't think these guys are done sorting this out yet. And I think Dominic DeLeo is going to have something to say about this before too long. Guys are doing a great job respecting each other and keeping off. Great side-by-side racing with minimal contact. You can see Jared Reed sides a little bit off at turn 4 this time. That allows Nick Leo to pull in front of him. We've got a nose-to-tail battle for the front 3. They're all running single file, but certainly all close to each other. Dominic DeLeo trying to close his way back up. Jared Reed trying to get back to the rear bumper of the 69, and Nick Leo see if he can try to make a move to regain the lead. We're going to come across the line this time off of turn 4 with 5 to go. You can see Jared Reed just giving it all he's got. Car's getting a little loose, a little squirrely there each time. He's just trying to get on the throttle as best as he can. He's got the bottom open up. Dominic DeLeo is going to look like he wants to insert himself there, so we're going to have side-by-side down the backstretch going into turn 3 for the 2nd and 3rd. Jared Reed still favoring that high line through 3 and 4, trying to cut down a little bit towards the middle of the track. Dominic DeLeo running the bottom line, trying to run up. He closes down that time by almost identical lap times. Nick Leo loving this. He's checking out from the field, opening the gap up to just under half a second with 4 laps to go. A great battle for 2nd and 3rd here. Dominic DeLeo trying to get a run again back down the backstretch. Jared Reed goes back to the bottom side this time by trying to close that line off. Almost gets loose off of turn 4, almost tags the wall with the right rear, saves it, but that also kills his moment down the front stretch. You can see the gap that Dominic DeLeo was able to close up there. I think he's going to start looking for alternative lines, maybe try to recognize where Jared Reed's not running and try to put his vehicle there in order to make an effort to get by him. Going through 3 and 4 this time by, we're going to have only 2 laps to go, so if Dominic DeLeo is going to make any move for 2nd, he's certainly got to do it now. You see him trying all he can off the corner, looking to the inside. Jared Reed dives back to the bottom, does a great job of taking away that inside line without putting a block on it. Dominic DeLeo is going to try to cut down on the inside off of turn 2, try to cross over move, see if he can get to the inside, just cannot get the run there. This is also allowing the 75 of Randall Hicks to move his way back up. So we've got a 3-car battle. Jared Reed loses it right in front of the 75. Randall Hicks not able to avoid him, sends him around. We stay green right now as we get the white flag. Jared Reed going to fall back with that contact between him and the 75. That also allows the 22 of Dominic DeLeo to pull away. So we've got a pretty big gap for your top 3 coming out of turn 4. Nick Leo's going to be coming out of turn 4 one final time. He's going to be seeing the checkers waving from Barney, our flagman. He's going to cross the line in first. 22 of Dominic DeLeo is going to bring it home in second, and the 75 of Randall Hicks is going to bring it home in third to round out your podium. Following back from there, we've got the 4 of Carter Lins in fourth, the 13 of Garrett Hall in fifth, the 33 of Butch Taylor in sixth. Jared Reed falls back to 7th after that spin off of turn 4. Robert Mathis pulls it off at 8th. 9th, it goes to the 42 of Aaron Sayer, and Leaf Smith in the 65 brings it home in 10th. You can see the 69 of Nick Leo doing his burnout celebration, burning it down on the front stretch. I think he had enough rubber left to use that and try to get a little bit of celebration in. He's going to park it there up on the outside retaining wall. Certainly a great battle there the last few laps for the closing stages of the race. Great job by all the drivers. All right, we've got Randall Hicks in the booth. Randall Hicks, you were able to bring it home in 3rd place. A little bit of a moment there right at the end between you and the 5 of Jared Reed. Did you feel like that was a bit of a racing incident, not much to go, or was there a little bit of contact to try to get the 3rd by him?
Well, it looked like he got loose, and I put my brakes on. I actually went up to the wall, tried to keep from hitting him, and I ended up hitting him. I bounced off the wall a little bit. I think I hit him, finished spinning him around. If I wouldn't have hit him, I think he might have been able to save it. But it was an accident. He was running good, and it's just unfortunate.
I'm certain that you were probably feeling a bit of the pressure from the 22 Dominic DeLeo taking tires right there on that last caution before the final restart. Did you feel like the tires were that big of an advantage with that few laps that you might have wanted to come down to pit road, or did you feel pretty good with your tires from the previous restart that you felt like you had the pace to try to hold them off there?
Well, I've been trying to save them, and it was really a 50-50 potluck choice, really. I wanted to go in, but then I figure if I went in, my chances getting back up there running with these guys, they run so fast that it was probably slim to none. So I just took my chances.
Certainly seemed like you did a great job of taking advantage of that track position that it seemed very important tonight. Did a great job bringing it home a couple spots ahead of where you started. Anybody you want to say thank you to out there before we let you go for the night?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Buck Kicker for sponsoring the series, and I'd like to thank Rubbins Racing for putting it on. Uh, Linden Steel Company, also a Better Hammer on Twitch. I appreciate everybody coming out watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Certainly great job out there. Nice run tonight, Randall. All right, we've got our second place finisher with us here in the booth, Dominic DeLeo in the 22. You had a great run there. It looks like you were trying to take advantage of those fresh tires right at the end. Did you feel like that was the way to go for a strategy call on that last restart?
I mean, um, what I don't think it would have helped. I mean, I don't think anything would have been different. I mean, there was only I think two guys behind me that were still on the lead lap, so position-wise, I knew I can get past the two guys in front of me. I think it ended up only being losing one position, but I tried to run him down. I was hoping Jared was going to hold Nick off a little bit more there, so I can catch up and save a little bit more maybe at the end. But I don't think I could have done anything different. Had a terrible restart, the first restart when we went back green and dropped two positions, and then from there it was pretty much over. It's just so hard to pass here.
Yeah, it did seem the track position was definitely important here. Did you feel like those quick cautions that we had towards the beginning of the race changed anything with your strategy you might have had going into this race, or was it pretty much the same thing that you expected?
It was kind of what I expected. We usually have pretty good racing here to have a good long green flag run, which we did. I think I was like 6 seconds ahead of Nick coming out of the green flag pit stop, so the cautions hurt me at the end there, definitely. But it's racing, and there's always going to be caution and tire management and things like that. But yeah, kind of gave it our all, and just the chips didn't fall for us tonight. But still happy with the second place finish.
Yes, it definitely certainly seems like you are setting yourself up to be a proven contender for the front running, no matter what track you guys are on this season. Before I let you go, anybody you want to say thank you to or send a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife as always, supporting the hobbies. Want to thank friends and family. Eat Sleep Race, our sponsor. You guys in the booth, Jacob, Tyler, James. I don't know if he's here. Happy birthday if he is here. And everybody at Rubbins Racing, Buck Kicker, main sponsor, a Better Hammer on Twitch. Um, and yeah, I mean, just excited to go keep running with these guys. It's been a lot of fun, and it was a ton of fun there at the end.
Congratulations on a great run, second place finish tonight. Look forward to seeing you up in the front for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, we've got our man of the hour, driver of the 69 Jewel Chevy, Nick Leo. Tell me, were you sweating that last restart trying to get to Jared Reed, or did you feel like you had a pretty big advantage over him on that last run?
Yeah, I was sweating pretty hard. I am drenched right now, but that was a lot of fun. I'm shocked I won that, to be honest with you.
It certainly looked like great battles. You guys were doing really great job running side by side through the corners, lap after lap there at the end. It seemed like a really respectful battle. You guys have a lot of history with each other. You feel like you run each other pretty clean for the most part?
Yeah, I think so. I was getting flashbacks of Bristol there. I think every restart we were racing side by side like that, and it's a lot of fun, real intense, and it's nice to be able to race somebody like that and just not get taken out very much. But he's a good driver. I thought he was gonna hold me off for a second there. I don't know what his tire strategy was or what, but I saw he brushed the wall a little bit, and then once you hit that wall once, I don't know if his nerves get to you, but the mistakes start coming after you hit that wall.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like he was committed himself a little bit more to the high line through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 the last lap. Seemed like you made a choice to go down to the bottom. Was that out of your comfort zone where you felt like the car was the best, or did you feel like you were trying to do that to just differentiate from Jared and try to get by him as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I was just hoping to get by him as quick as possible, but I don't know. I've never really seen the top work like that. And I was surprised he held on as long as he did, but
You certainly did a great job. Before we let you go for the night to go back to your celebrations, anybody you want to send thanks to, shout outs to at all?
yeah, just the usual. Shout out to Jewel as always, and Chevrolet and Butt Kicker for sponsoring this, and to the broadcast crew and everybody. And shout out to Jared. I think he did the setup again this week. Great setup. So thanks for that, and thanks to the admins and everybody at the Rubbins Racing crew, and all the viewers, of course.
Glad to have you on. Great to see you in victory lane. Hope to see you up in the front the rest of the season. Congrats on a good run tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, that is going to finish out our night. Let's take a look at the quick final standings. Again, Nick Leo in the 69 bringing it home in first. We've got Dominic DeLeo in the 22 in second. Randall Hicks in the 75 in third. Carter in the fourth in Carter the 4 and fourth, and the 13 at Garrett Hall rounding out our top 5. You can see the list of the final standings from 6th on back to 16th. This was certainly a great race. I think we got a lot of good mix of quick cautions, some quick short runs, as well as that long green flag run in the middle, and certainly probably one of the best battles I've seen this season so far, coming off those last laps on the restart. Great battle between Nick Leo and Jared Reed. Great race by all involved in this, and it was a great race to put on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we will see you next week, same time, same place for the next race. So long, everybody. Have a good night.